Okay guys, I'm going to explain to you how to solve number 1 through 4 really quickly. I'm going to review the strategies that we can use to solve for them. But before I do that, this is the no calculator section, which means you can't use it. 25 minutes to do 17 questions, which is approximately a minute and a half per question. So it's a little bit less than that. So you want to work through these really quickly. You don't want to spend too much time on one question. If you don't know what it is, you need to guess because there is no penalty this year for taking a guess on a question. It won't count against you. The point of the PSAT is to see how quickly you can answer. It's not like STAR. I'm going to use the strategy cubes in solving this word problem for number 1. A babysitter earns $8 an hour for babysitting 2 children, an additional $3 tip when both children are put to bed on time. If the babysitter gets the children to bed on time, what expression could be used to determine how much the babysitter earned? I'm going to box in my action words. I see addition, and though it doesn't seem like an action word, this and actually means multiply. It's like each, it's of, it just means multiply. The next thing I need to do is identify my variable, which is what decides how much this babysitter makes. And what decides how much it makes is if they're put to bed on time, that has to do with the tip, and then it says hours. So I know that my variable, the thing that decides how much she makes, is how many hours she or he works. Now, it's not asking me to actually solve the problem, it's just asking me to find the equation that matches this word problem and identify the variable. So we've already identified that what determines how much the babysitter makes is hours. So I know number of hours has to be my variable. Doesn't matter how many children there are. We already know there are 2, so that's not the variable. I can eliminate C and D. Also, they threw 2 in as a distractor because the number of children don't matter. The next thing I want to do is try to write my equation based off of the verbal. I know I'm multiplying my variable by 8 because that's how much she makes per hour, and I'm adding 3 at the end because that's how much she gets for having them to bed on time. So I want to look and see which one of those has this equation, and it would be A. The only thing they did, instead of making that an H, they made it an X. Okay. Number 2 isn't a word problem, so cubes really isn't going to apply here. If x comma y is a solution to the equation above, where y is not equal to 0, what is the ratio of x divided by y? So that means that which one of these satisfies the x and the y in this equation? All we're going to do is plug these in to see which one gives us the correct answer. On all of these answers right here, the top number is x, the bottom number is y. Just have to keep that in mind. I'm going to start with A, plug it in to see if it comes out correctly. The negative in front, I'm just going to give it to the top number. You have to choose which one it goes with. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to choose the top one. So when I rewrite this as x comma y, it's negative 4 comma 3. That's kind of hard to see. Let me rewrite that real quick. I'm going to plug that into the equation. 3, my x is negative 4, my y is positive 3. Now I want to evaluate to see if it comes out with the correct answer. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And x, or negative 3, does not equal 3. So A is not the correct answer. Let's go on to the B. I have negative 2 and 3. I'm going to plug that into this equation to see if it gives me the correct answer. 3 times negative 2 plus 3 equals 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. And in this equation, 3 does equal 3. We got the same number on both sides, so therefore I know B is the correct answer. If you want me to try C, I can. I suggest on PSAT, though, it's not like STAR where we want you to work through all the problems to see if you get another correct answer. It's about quickness. So if you found that answer on PSAT, my suggestion would be to go ahead and move on. Go to the next question after that because you found one that satisfies this equation above. But I will work out this one really quick just to show you. So I have 1, 3. I'm going to plug it in. 1 plus 3 is 4. 12 does not equal 3, so therefore I know that C is not the correct answer. I could keep going, but this is about timing, so I would just choose B and I would move on to the next question. All right, number 3. We have a system of equations right here. What I would do to solve this one is I would first try to get rid, it says which ordered pair x, y satisfies the system of equations above. So those are all listed for you. I need to figure out which one of these satisfies these equations. Whenever we have fractions like this, we like to get rid of the fractions because it's kind of confusing seeing all of the fractions above. I like to look for the largest denominator and multiply the whole equation by that number in order to eliminate the coefficient that's negative. I'm sorry, that's a fraction. So this first one, the largest denominator is 4. So I'm going to multiply all of these numbers times 4 to make it a little bit easier to read. 4 times 1/2 is 2. 4 times 1/4 is 1. And I could write 1y, making sure to break down my negative, but we don't really write 1 as a coefficient, so I'm going to get rid of that. And 4 times 10 is 40. I got rid of those fractions. These are equivalent equations. It just makes it a little bit easier to read. This next one here, the largest denominator is 8. I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 8. 8 times 1/8 is going to be 1. I don't really need to write the 1, so I'm just going to write x. Bringing down your subtraction sign, don't forget it. Same thing. 8 times 1/8 is 1, so I'm just going to write y. And 19 times 8 is 152. Now I want to eliminate one of these variables right here to solve for the other. So I'm going to eliminate the y. I don't know why, just want to eliminate the y. In order to get it eliminated, I need to, since this one's a negative y, I need to make this a positive y so that they cancel each other out. I'm going to multiply this whole equation by -1 to make that happen. -1 makes that a positive y equals -152. That's now gone, so I don't want to look at that one. 2x minus x is 1x. Negative y and a positive y become 0, so they cancel. Equals, and I have 40 minus a -152, and that's going to become a -112. So I know that x is -112. See that answer right there. Once again, if you're on PSAT, I would kind of move on at that point and I would go to the next question because it is about time. But I will solve for y just to show you that it is correct. So I'm going to choose one of the equations above, 1/2. I'm going to plug in my x, -112 minus 1/4 y equals 10. Half of 112 is -56 minus 1/4 y equals 10. I'm going to take this over to this side, so I'm going to add 56 to both sides. If you had a calculator, this would be it would be faster, but we don't, so here we are. Now I'm going to multiply this side by -4, and I'm going to multiply this side by -4. These cancel. Y equals -264. 66 times -4 is -264, and that's your correct answer. And the last problem that we have for today is going to be I have to use one that I figured out. Number 4. A triangle ABC above is isosceles where AB is equal to AC and BC is equal to 48. The ratio of DE to DF is 5:7. What is the length of DC? So I know that these two are congruent because it says it's isosceles. AB is equal to AC. It says that BC, which is this whole bottom part, is 48. It says the ratio of DE, which is right here, is 5:7, which is DF. And I'm trying to figure out what this length right here is. So we really don't have enough numbers in order to solve this using a ratio table really quickly. So I'm just going to use process of elimination and reasoning in order to solve this problem. I know that DC has to be longer than BD because the hypotenuse of this right triangle is going to be longer than the hypotenuse of this one, being that this is 5 and this is 7. So I know that this one has to be longer than this side. Altogether, this side has to equal 48. So I know that half of this side would be 24. DC has to be longer than 24 because this line segment is longer than this line segment. It can't be 12. It can't be 20. It's not equal to 24. It's larger than 24. So therefore, using process of elimination, I know that D is the correct answer. Thank you so much.